Recent news has pretty much confirmed Chris Evans' return to the MCU inside of Avengers Doomsday, which puts him alongside RDJ once again. And from a few different sources, namely Cosmic Circus, there are a lot of variants that are going to show up inside of this movie. So my current thought here, and there's a fan theory that is coming up later on in the video, but I think this may lead into or have us see a version of Cap known as Hydra Captain America. And he may show up either as a rival of Doom, depending on how this is written, or a friend of Doom, again, depending on how this could all play out. Salutations and fist bumps, folks. Welcome back to the grid. We've got a lot to talk about and not a whole lot of time. Let's ride. So there's a lot of speculation around this and how it all can play out. We already know that Doom is coming to the MCU by way of RDJ, which was announced in this year's San Diego Comic-Con. By the way, if you don't already know this, Doom is a very complex character to actually portray on a silver screen, which is probably why RDJ signed up to do it. But with those layers, as self-centered as they probably might be, there could be times where he fights alongside other characters as long as those characters and everything around the situation that he's fighting for actually serve his own purpose, which is where I'm getting my thought around Hydra Cap from. Now, though Evil Cap might not be or probably won't be the main driver of this story, obviously, he potentially could come alongside Doom or call on the aid of Doom if he gets the chance, possibly creating the MCU version of the Army of Evil. I know, far left corners of the MCU again, but by now you should already know this is just how I am. Anyway, with this return, will this hurt the legacy of Chris Evans inside of the MCU? Because from Endgame, it was probably the most classic leave that we could possibly ever have in terms of a iconic character in the MCU. But my guess is that him coming back won't taint this at all for him. Here's why. Because since we've already seen him come back as Johnny Storm inside of Deadpool and Wolverine, which, though it was short-lived, it did have a purpose and drive the plot forward in terms of the story actually making sense. And there were a lot of funny moments around that as well. But I believe that this could be a similar situation here, where a seemingly good guy Captain America appears from somewhere inside of the multiverse and lures the actual good guys into a trap. But remember that theory that I had in terms of how Hydra Cap came to be in the first place? Incoming theory here. Because speaking of all this, and this is something I don't believe that a whole lot of people have talked about, and I could be wrong, but this anti-hero version of Cap could be the cause of an incursion or multiple incursions that happen leading up to Battle World and the Avengers Secret Wars, which again could set the stage for Battle World, have Doom rise to power in multiple different ways, and then again be the tipping point for Secret Wars. Now, full-on theory and or the backstory to the theory in terms of everything that could happen here, and this could, if it actually plays out, could be a spoiler situation, so spoiler alert here, okay, if you're still with me. So here's the full gamut of the story that I've been cooking up inside of my head. Now, we all remember that Cap went back inside of the sacred timeline to be with Peggy at the end of Avengers Endgame, which according to Low-Key Season 1, that was supposed to happen. Cool. But what if when he gets there, he sees a world that looks similar to what he was expecting to see in terms of the house that he wanted to be inside of with Peggy, but it is not exactly the same or what he was expecting to see, given the fact that something similar to this has actually happened to him at the end of Captain America, the First Avenger. And the only thing that he vaguely or kind of remembers is Peggy, because that's what he was going back for in the first place. But the town or world that he now currently lives in is now Pleasant Hill, which in the comics is a town that is created by S.H.I.E.L.D. Again, this has happened to him before. And then, because of his super soldier abilities, he is now looked at as a villain, at least inside of this town. Because everyone that is now inside of this area or vicinity of this area has been brainwashed to believe that they are mild-mannered civilians and not superheroes or supervillains. But still vaguely remembering that there is another world that he comes from in terms of Cap, aka Steve Rogers, he attempts to regain his memories, only having the ability to remember that he has a history with Peggy. Then days and months go by and Steve assimilates to his surroundings, becoming a friendly neighbor much like those that we've seen inside of Westview in WandaVision. Then, while working on another neighbor's home, a fire breaks out and he jumps into action. I mean, this is basically what he does. He's able to get everyone out of that house safely, but he realizes that there is someone standing in the midst of that house that is about to come down. To which he goes back to find out what is going on and why they're just standing there, and he finds out that the person standing there actually created this fire. And this person is Helmut Zemo, who uncovers for him that this is an entirely fake world and it was created by S.H.I.E.L.D., which then places him at odds with S.H.I.E.L.D. and the entirety of the US government as a whole, laying the groundwork for Hydra Cap to emerge. And this could add even more fuel to that fire if he were to find out that Bucky died and did not have to by the hands of S.H.I.E.L.D. In fact, I actually touched on the fact that Bucky did not have to die in Captain America: The First Avenger, and you can check that video out right over here. I'll see you there. Blurred out.